All right, everyone. Thanks for joining. Again, my name is Kurt Riley, and security's been a focus of mine for a really long time. And today's topic, the rise of AI adversaries, how autonomous cyber criminals are rewriting the rules of warfare, should be something that um, should scare us a little bit. The whole point is not to scare you too much, but the whole point is to have an honest, real conversation about the future of what AI looks like. So, first, we'll start with the old legal disclaimer. And then I'll start with a quote here from the CEO of Google. AI is one of the most important things humanity is working on. It is more profound than electricity or fire. I actually really thought about that. How profound is electricity and fire? And I can't imagine a life without electricity or fire, let alone both. And AI is more profound than that. It's an incredible statement. I wanted to give some interesting facts, and I think there's a lot to talk about in AI that will incredibly continue to evolve. But the AI market size is expected to grow by at least 120% year over year. And 80% of people are concerned about AI being used for cyber attacks. I know I am, and I know that's why you're here today. AI is growing in usage. 97% of business owners think ChatGPT will help their business. So we're going to see business and individuals use AI more and more each day. And 78% of the people think the benefits of AI outweigh the risk. That's the thing that we really need to think about because what does that look like? Well, let's look at power consumption. I think is really neat because we're in an AI arms race, whether we want to talk about it or not. The top AI companies are trying to build data centers with compute power greater and greater than their competitors. And they believe if they don't do that, they will be left behind. It's almost like whoever gets to artificial general intelligence or super intelligence first wins. That's their mentality. But look at how much power these take. GPT-3 had 10,000 GPUs that used 5,000 the power of 5,000 homes. GPT-5, they're trying to get to 1 million GPUs, which uses the power of 500,000 homes. And OpenAI said that it wants to get to 100 million GPUs. That's 131 million homes. That's one quarter, 25% of all the homes in America just to power OpenAI's GPUs. Really think about that. And then factor in what all of the tech companies are trying to do and the incredible compute and power demands that are out there. We see Meta building data centers or talking about building data centers the size of Manhattan for AI. Google's investing in nuclear power and fusion reactors because they need the power. Microsoft says, they signed a 20-year deal to purchase power from the reopening of the 3 Mile Island nuclear plant. We do not have enough power right now going forward to do what we need to do. And the race is on to get the power and the compute to grow AI faster and faster. Now, when we think of AI security or governance, those are two things people may not really know very well. So, when we think about AI security, we're talking about protecting AI systems and using other AI systems and tools to protect those systems against other AIs or attacks from AIs. AI governance is about setting the rules and the policy and the oversight of AI use. So you will hear that, but they don't always mean the same. So it's important that we understand. We're going to focus today mainly on AI security and what the actual threat is. So MIT's technology review said it's clear that the real threat ahead is not from China, but from the weaponization of advanced AI by bad actors and rogue groups who seek to create broad harms, gain wealth, and destabilize society. It's very difficult to fully prevent and defend against a determined foe who has mastered AI and intends to deploy it for nefarious purposes. Well, that's scary. Well, what about the Center for AI Safety? Well, they simply just said, hey, development of advanced AIs could lead to catastrophe. We do not yet know how to control highly advanced AI systems. The inner workings of AI are not well understood, even by those who created them. Deception has already been observed in AI systems, and the risk of AI going rogue is a real possibility. Wow. How about cybercrime? Well, it's been growing at 15% year over year. And by 2031, cybercrime will cost the world $1 trillion per month. Incredible. Every one of these headlines is real. They're not from a movie plot. They're literally from the last few months. If you look at the dates, right? We're witnessing the early stages of a transformation in cybercrime. AI is no longer a defensive tool. It's now in the hands of attackers. And if you think about like traditional threats, AI doesn't need to rest. It doesn't need motivation. It can scale to millions of targets in seconds. Cisco says that one of the biggest categories for an AI attack is identity. And why? Because identity is the master key, really. Once an attacker poses as you on a trusted system and gets in the door, all the other doors become really easy to open. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, said something, and I thought, this is amazing too, and scary. The world may be on the precipice of a fraud crisis because of how artificial intelligence could enable bad actors to impersonate other people. So we're going to unleash this thing, and it's going to create a fraud crisis. And I know these headlines are scary. Well, let's look at this headline, probably the scariest of them all. If you're reading this, your company is dead. How one weak password ended a 158-year-old company. If you haven't read this article, it's truly amazing how a hacker got in with a low-level password, ransomware all of the company's data, and put them completely out of business. All from one weak password. So the risk is real. Malicious AI is here. It's not coming. It's already here. It'll get better, and it's getting better fast. Right now, identities are the easiest way in. Every stage of the attack can be automated. And once inside, damage is immediate. The question isn't if AI will target your environment, it's whether you'll detect it and stop it before the next breach happens. So, what might an attack from malicious AI look like? So, let's look at kind of how this might happen because as the models gain more intelligence, we have to predict how AI might or might not act. Well, we know there'll be accidental emergence, right? Unintended harmful behaviors due to flaw design, biased in the system, could develop into malicious AI. We know that threat actors will deliberately train malicious AI. If you think nation states, for example, right? And if you start thinking about hacking in general, they're going to try to hack AI, take over your AI, use your AI to attack other companies. That's legitimate. One of the scariest here, autonomous self-improving AI. Can you imagine an AI train that self-learns, that is autonomous and is out unleashed like a genie out of the bottle into the network, into the world? How do you control that or stop that or prepare for that? Right now, what we're seeing the most of here is number 5. We're seeing human and AI collusion, right? Threat actors, just like all of us use AI, most, I should say, the vast majority of us now are using some version or form of AI on a daily basis. And threat actors are doing the same. And they're doing it at scale, and it's going to get worse. There's something that I'm calling the $30 million illusion. So you spent $30 million, right? And we hear a lot of customers that do this, right? They optimize and modernize their cloud. They improve their performance monitoring. Upgraded storage, built bigger data centers, added more marketers, streamlined HR, refreshed their hardware, all these things they've done to make their business better, faster, and more profitable. Except for one thing, and this is happening right now. Oops, sorry about this. You didn't protect yourself from AI because you weren't prepared. We're told that AI is the greatest thing ever, use it everywhere in every way. But what happens if we think about it? Imagine hiring 100,000 hackers who never sleep, never argue, and get smarter after every failure. That's what you're dealing with an AI is in control. AI will weaponize identity attacks, both human and machine identities, because it's the most direct and scalable path into your environment. Now let's look at the playbook. What would AI do? It'd do the same thing any hacker would do, right? It would go out and look at LinkedIn press releases, conference videos, podcasts. It will learn your names, your roles, your relationship. It will gather voice samples. It will scan your GitHub repos, your storage buckets. It will do all of that. And it will do it at scale and it will do it at machine speed. This isn't one hacker sitting at a keyboard. This could be multiple AIs unleashed, working together in parallel across the entire world to do this at a speed that we probably can't even comprehend at this moment. Impersonation and social engineering, right? We've already seen it clone voice, clone videos. Sometimes you watch a video and you're like, is that really her or him? Kind of looks fake. No, maybe it's real. Those are going to get better and better. So generating fake videos, fake invoices, all of this is going to be done at scale. Credential harvesting. If we think right now, and I looked this up today, and it's like how many passwords are actually username and passwords that are valid that are out there, right? And it's estimated between 10 and 300 million username and passwords are out there and valid somewhere and somehow. 70% of users are still trying to reuse an old password. And I asked ChatGPT this today, if an AI had access to a list of username and passwords, how fast and at what scale could it launch a cyber attack? At machine speed, millions of accounts probed or breached within minutes, hitting targets worldwide in parallel. And I don't think that we're really understanding the level at which malicious AI could really take off. Non-human identity is one of the fastest growing set of identities out there today, right? They're exploiting these. These are tests stolen or guest API keys are out there. We've got CI/CD pipelines that are being compromised with service accounts. Targeted misconfigured SaaS integrations are out there. So exploiting these non-human identities will get worse. And then stealth setup. They're going to log in using trusted credentials because there is so many trusted credentials and passwords out there, which is why we need to get away from passwords. We'll talk about that more later. Deploy automation to map the network and identify high value assets. All these things that we're talking about that AI does, it doesn't do one after another. It does it in parallel, does it all at once, right? Creating backdoors, spinning up malware, dropping off malware, proliferating malware all over the place so that it can create a backdoor and get in. We're not even prepared for this. So now that we understand how AI attacks, here's how we counter at every single stage. So first of all, we're not going to abandon our principles, right? So the same principles still apply in security that we've always used. Least privileged, right? You get no more and no less of access that the accounts need. We're going to do our patching. We're going to do defense in depth, right? So we'll build our overlapping layers of protection, whether that's identity, network, all of that and above. Micro segmentation will segment things off so that if one area gets breached, we can stop it from spreading. So there's a lot of things that we can do with principles that we can still protect. But it's still an AI intelligence level that we may not understand. So, one of the things that I think we really need to focus on going forward is continuous verification. That's really becoming the new perimeter. We have to do risk scoring every time, all the time, throughout the entire session. We can't just say, "Are you Bob? Okay, come on in." We have to continuously check because AI understands what we're looking for. AI understands how we might try to detect it, right? When a user logs in, we start with a risk assessment, right? Focused on the device. We check for things like their device fingerprint or geolocation or that sort of stuff. But while the user is active, are we monitoring today for behavioral shifts? Are we looking at patterns like, hey, is this individual's typing speed changed? Is their navigation or access requests changed? Are they doing something that looks fishy, right? So, through the continuous verification process, we can validate that throughout this process that this is a human, it's who we think it is, and they're doing what we think they should be doing. We're going to have to use AI throughout this process to monitor through that. And we're doing this here at IBM today. Customers are doing this. We've been doing this a long time and certain things like this just because we've been heavily involved in the banking industry for so long. So doing things like getting a high quality risk score for an end banking user to make sure that it's Susie who's logging in, that's something we've specialized in for a long time. So let's talk a little bit about defense. So today here we have a product and a platform called IBM Verify and IBM Trust. So one of the things we're going to have to get away from is passwords, right? Passwords can be used, reused, stolen, that sort of stuff. Pass keys. So getting to that password list, that's one of the first steps. We do that with a lot of customers today. Number two, I mentioned it, it's probably one of the most important. Evaluate risk at every login and continuously doing the session every time throughout, and we never stop. And we got to look at behaviors, the location, the device. Here at IBM, when you log in, when you go about your business, we look at over 200 different risk profiles to make sure you are who you say you are. And we need to flag and block anonymous logins, right? Even if the credentials are valid. And we need to adapt policies and risks because your risk appetite may change depending on your business model. Also, Vault Radar. Well, let's go back to what AI is going to do. AI is going to scan your code. It's going to look at your CI/CD pipelines. It's going to look at your cloud config. It's going to look for passwords and API keys in your GitHubs or your Bitbuckets or Slack, right? It's going to look for secrets anywhere that it can find it. That's what AI is going to do. Well, we have to do that too. We have to be proactive to make sure that we don't have API keys and unencrypted passwords and data that AI can use to help in its recon process to begin to build a plan to attack. We do that today with Vault Radar. So in combination of IBM Verify, our continuous authentication and risk mitigation stuff, we also go out and we're proactively looking for this stuff. IBM Verified Privilege, you've got those privilege accounts. How many times have we seen a low level user get in, move laterally, down, up, basically upgrade their privileges to admin, download malware, and then deploy it? And then you read in the news that, oh, company XYZ had all their claim servers ransomwared. Well, it sounds like ransomware was the issue, but that's not what started it. What started it is they got in as a low-level identity user, and once they got in, they moved lateral. So defense in depth. Let's lock down those low-level users. Let's monitor continuously. We would have saw the privilege escalation, and we would have probably prevented that with the risk profiles. So I think there's a lot that we can do as from a defense in depth strategy. And now everything's an API, right? There's APIs everywhere. Most CEOs or CIOs, they don't even know where all the APIs are. What APIs are deployed and listening that you can talk to, right? So as part of what we do at IBM, we discover shadow and undocumented APIs. We monitor for those API usages. We also block API abuse. We look at role-based and contextual access for APIs. You've got to get a handle on your APIs. AI is going to come in, and one of the things it's going to look for is API endpoints and what it can talk to. And it's going to try to do this at scale. Defense persistence, with verify identity protection, right? So when we have those misconfigurations, how do we know that that's misconfigured? Right? If we're not checking for misconfigurations in identity systems, in accesses, in all kinds of different ways, if we're not looking for unused or orphaned accounts, right? If we're not taking in that identity posture and risk assessment across human and non-human and identities, we're doing a disservice because AI will absolutely exploit that. Dartium. Dartium is a tool that IBM has had for years where we go out and we monitor data in real time across your databases, your data lakes, your warehouses. We look for, hey, is AI going to come in here? And we're looking to detect abnormal query behavior, apply risk-based policies, all of these things. Again, following that defense in depth strategy because AI will try everything. And you have to cover your databases, your identity, your network. It's people, process, and technology that's important across the board. And we have to apply all of them. And then something we almost never talk about is AI powered anomaly detection at the storage layer. IBM Flash Storage with Safeguard Copy and Flash System Intelligence watches for suspicious IO behavior in real time. Who's doing that? If a malicious AI starts using ransomware and begins encrypting files or wiping backups or stealing data, our flash system sees it first, even before a lot of SIMs and EDR tools do. So we can respond immediately and create read-only snapshots of that infected volume. So we don't correlate all this together, but with AI, we have to look at hardware, network, identity. We have to look at everything, and we have to build a defense in depth as a whole, not just the one piece that we may control at our company. We have to look at it as a whole, and we can help you. So you don't. This isn't a sales pitch; it's a strategy. So IBM, one thing that we do is we come in and we sit down and we look at a strategy to help you put in place what can you do today to put together a strategy to defend against AI in the future because these AIs are getting well more advanced and we have to have a plan in place on how we're going to protect our environments against a threat actor that's going to unleash an autonomous AI. We have to be thinking about that. And most companies are not thinking about that. We're being hacked like crazy today, every day, by a regular human. Can you imagine an autonomous AI with super intelligence that we haven't even prepared for? So, my pitch today is I hope you learned something. I hope I scared you just a little bit because it is important. But let's set up that working session if you want help with an AI strategy of defense. And then our upcoming webinars. So here's some cool ones that are coming up here. Take note of these if any of these are of interest to you. And we'll get you the deck if you want to see that. And in the end, thank you very much for everything.